Imagine building your very own home for yourself for the equivalent of just 1 year's worth of city rent. Today we meet an inspiring couple who made that happen for themselves, and all within a stone's throw of London. Hi Lizzie, how are you?
Hi Bryce, good to meet you.
It's great to meet you. G'day Patrick,
Bryce.
how's it going, mate?
Nice to have you.
It's lovely to be here, and what an incredible home you've crafted for yourselves. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really pleased with it.
What was it that inspired you to build a tiny house?
I guess we got frustrated with the rental system, paying so much, having little freedom, and thought this is a good way to do that. And yeah, really fancied building something, so this was the thing that made it happen.
Yeah, we'd always lived in sort of alternative places. Like we lived for a while in London in property guardianship. It was an old NHS care home where lots of people share the space until it gets sold on. So we're sort of open to the idea of alternative ways of living, and I think stumbled across it, probably your YouTube videos, and yeah, thought we'd have a go.
Fantastic. And the home that you've built here is just absolutely gorgeous. And you did all of this yourselves, didn't you?
Yeah, it took a lot of preparation. So we had a good long lockdown to research and watch lots of tutorials and plan our design.
And had you ever built anything like this before?
Nothing like this. We'd made some bottle openers and a few small things out of wood, but that was pretty much it.
This is a long way from a bottle opener.
Yeah. It was a steep learning curve, and really enjoyed the process. I think when you're doing it for yourself, anything you do well, you get to appreciate for yourself. Anything that goes badly, it's only you and you can do it again. Especially working with wood is quite forgiving, so it was a really fun process.
Absolutely. And that is one of the joys of working with wood, isn't it? It is this creative process, and you're able to throw yourself into it, and mistakes can always be fixed and things can always be patched up. And the result of what you've built here is really impressive though. I love the style of this as well. It's quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, so I suppose partly inspired by the other outbuildings on the plot, but we quite like something quite simple, using as much wood as possible. So the contrast of black and the kind of orange stain on the wood, we kind of fell on after looking at every YouTube video and every kind of stain colour. So yeah, pleased with it. And the shepherd's hut style is quite simple as well, which
the shepherd's hut roof means that you can have sort of maximum height, because we were a bit sort of strapped for height, especially in the mezzanine area.
Right.
But that curved roof gives you maximum height, so it's not like with a pitched roof you have a really small bit here which you couldn't really use much of, and then too tall in the middle.
And it means you can sit on the top if you fancy. Quite a good view.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you've got the most wonderful parking spot for your home as well. You're sort of nestled into this lovely little nook in the corner of the garden.
Yeah, it's great. We're really lucky that, it's Lizzie's parents' garden, and they've kind of been developing it for a while. And actually we had to take 3 silver birch trees out, but it's completely surrounded otherwise, so it looks like it's been here. As soon as we put it in, it looked like it had been here forever.
Yeah, it's the good thing about having foundations. Being on wheels means you can be that close to trees, because I think otherwise you can't because of the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great what you've done with the deck around the back of the home as well.
Yeah, it's almost the same floor plan as the house again. So in the summer it's like our house doubles in size, and we put the table and chairs out there and hammock, and eat most of our meals outside when it's nice. And
it's on the west side as well, so we get the sunset, it's nice and flat around here, so it's a pretty good one.
Beautiful. And what size is the tiny house?
So it's 6.8 metres by 2.4, and then 4 from the ground to the very top. So we kind of maxed out the dimensions for it legally to be a caravan, which is how we can make it work with this setup.
Although you'd have to be very, very brave to tow that on the English country roads, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
When we moved it from the barn to here, it didn't have any windows, so it hasn't moved yet with its windows, so it would be, hair-raising.
Great, because you rented a local barn to build it in, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know what we'd have done without that actually. A lot of tarpaulins, I think, but it was really helpful, and it's just a stone's throw that way, so that was great.
It was good fun, and we took a month off work actually for part of the build, and then after that it was just evenings and weekends. But it was really nice to, I think particularly for me doing an office job, to actually have some kind of 3D problem solving, and so satisfying at the end of the day where you can step back and say, I've done that.
Absolutely. Well, you've done such a fantastic job on the outside of your home, and I cannot wait to see what's inside. Can we take a look?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Thank you very much. Oh, this is absolutely beautifully done. And standing here as well, you can really get a sense of how wonderfully nestled into all the trees this home is.
Yeah, it's a really nice spot, and the light as well from the trees makes a really big difference in here.
Yeah. It's a very spacious feeling tiny home, isn't it? Especially the way that this whole half of the home is just so open.
Yeah, we really wanted to make the most of that because we wanted to avoid it feeling sort of claustrophobic, and having the curved roof I think really helps with that.
Absolutely. And I love the way that you've done the lounge over here as well. Very clever the way that you've kept all of the storage to one side.
Yeah, we were quite pleased with that, and we were quite keen also, being kind of out in the country where a lot of our friends are in the city, to have somewhere where we could host them, so the sofa pulls out to a double bed. I think there's a lot of clever storage where it's tucked away, but to have something that's a bit more open for your books, for your other bits and pieces that you want to have accessible. And actually one part of this wall unit is the desk, which is partly the monitors, the TV, but it's also where I work.
Fantastic, which is important for you as well, because you work mostly from home. You only do a couple of days in town, don't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So I kind of 50% working in this very spot.
And it looks like you've set it up so that you can have it at different heights too. Can you talk to me about how you've done all that?
Yeah, that took a lot of thinking and a lot of planning. Spent quite a lot of time going through the options and went for a pulley system in the end.
And when it's not a work computer, it's your entertainment system.
Yeah, exactly. That's our TV. It doesn't need to be that big.
And I totally agree what you were saying about the open storage before as well, because it really is nice to be able to display nicely some of your objects.
Yeah, we got all of our stuff out when we were designing the storage and thought, how does this need to be accessible? Where do we want it to have everything? So settled on this where we can still stuff things in the bits that have doors, but all of the things that you want to have really accessible or look all right to have accessible and out on show. So yeah, quite pleased with how this has worked out, and we still have all of this space up here for just dumping stuff that you don't need as regularly, or under the sofa where it's quite tucked away.
And I think the baskets up in the storage loft look great as well.
Yeah, so it's probably not the most efficient way to use that space, but we thought when everything's so on show, you kind of need to make everything look nice. And it's quite useful as well, just to be able to chuck everything in the top as well. So yeah, things up there like cycling stuff, camping stuff that we don't use.
What was your process of downsizing into the tiny home like?
It was fairly easy actually, because we were living in a basement apartment, so we didn't have much space from where we moved from. Even then we did get rid of quite a lot of stuff, quite a lot of boxes going to charity.
Which is one of Lizzie's favourite things anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I like clearing things out. Neither of us sort of like having that much stuff anyway. It's just a lot to sort of maintain and look after. So we're quite on board with the more minimalist side of things. I wouldn't call us like hardcore minimalists, but yeah, certainly like the idea of having less.
And then above the lounge, we've got your sleeping loft.
Yeah, so it's very basic. It is a mattress on a slightly raised up platform so that there's airflow underneath. And we've also got clothes storage down the side. And we access it via the ladder, which actually has two settings. So when you're not using it, it's up like that. And then it pulls out, so it's at a slant to get up. We chose to do that over having proper steps, just to save some space so that we could have a proper dining table and chairs.
And it looks so cozy up there.
Yeah, it is cozy. It's a bit like a nest. You have to kind of crawl in, and then the ceiling's really not far away. But we have got a window along the edge that looks out across the fields, which is really nice.
Beautiful. And how do you find it up there, Patrick? Because you are not a small guy.
Yeah, I think it's taken a bit of adapting to. It's just one of those things you get used to. But it's pretty much just a place that you sleep, so you just use it for that, and that works.
And then we've got your table here as well, and this is just such a lovely space to sit, have a meal, and look out onto that lovely view.
Yeah, we're really lucky, and this is a really useful table actually. It can become bigger. It's got two flaps, so we can squeeze 6 people around, and we've got a few stools over there, so yeah, we can have quite a lot of people over.
Great. And the chairs here look quite special too.
Yeah, these have had a journey, so they're chapel chairs, but then they went to a pub and then they came to us. So they needed a real scrub. They had like thick layers of grease from the pub, but we did them up.
Fantastic. I just love those little pops of character in the home, eh? And then over here we've got your kitchen, and again, this is beautifully designed.
Thank you. Yeah, we were trying to max out on workspace and storage. We're both quite keen on cooking. We had various options on SketchUp. There was one point where we thought we'd raise the whole level up because we wanted a distinction between the zones of the house. But we thought that this L shape managed to do that, and it also meant that there was sort of good access to all of the aspects of the kitchen.
Very clever. And a good amount of prep space in here as well?
Yeah, we wanted to have as much work surface as possible because we're both quite keen on cooking, and plenty of storage. So all of those cupboards are food storage, and then we've got the shelves as well. But even then, it's still a bit of a squeeze when we get a food delivery.
I'm sure. And I really do like what you've done up here with the open shelf storage. It just looks so nice, doesn't it?
Thank you, yeah. Yeah, we ate a lot of olives, actually, to get all of those jars with the black lids.
That's a hardship.
Yeah.
And you've got a good-sized oven in here, as well as the cooktop and a sink.
Yeah, we were keen to have everything. We don't use the oven loads, but the induction hob's really useful. Just being connected to mains electricity. We've got no gas plumbing or anything like that, which is, keeps it a bit simpler.
Cool light fittings in here as well.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time again experimenting with that. Because it is quite tall, you don't want all of the lighting from the ceiling, so a few pendant lights to try and balance that, where the light's coming from.
Yeah, and we've also got this pendant light, which we can move up and down. It's got a pulley, so if you're sitting at the table, then you can have it lowered down and then get it out of the way when you're not.
That's such a nice feature. And I'm guessing behind that door there we must have your bathroom. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much. Oh, this is so sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, it's certainly a cupboard bathroom. It's only 80 centimetres wide, which is the width of a standard shower tray. So we made it as small as it could be.
But that's enough though, right?
Yeah,
it's got everything in there. Does the job.
Yeah, I really like what you've done with the cupboards up there and the way that you've sloped the bottom of it too.
Thanks, yeah, that's got our water heater in it, and it's sloped so that if you're on the loo, you don't bang your head on the cupboard.
Clever idea. And the DIY composting toilet down there, nicely done.
Yeah.
A bit different, but it makes the whole setup work. We did consider chemical loos and stuff, but this felt like the easiest thing, and ended up reading about it and getting behind the whole nutrient cycling.
Yep, that's it, eh? And one of the things that I love what you've done in here is the covering that you've put on that window. That just adds such a beautiful element to the room.
Thanks, yeah, it looks really nice, especially I think with the trees behind it. The light that comes through is really sparkly.
Yeah. And I like the shower tray that you've got in there as well. It's very cute and compact, and I especially like the way that you've tiled around it. That looks really good.
So that's actually a caravan shower tray, so we're quite keen to minimise the weight of the tiny house. And shower trays are really heavy, so we got a small one and then kind of propped up around the edge and then tiled the top. Nice to have make it a bit decorative as well.
I completely agree. And so how long have you been living in the home now?
So it's just coming up to 2 years now.
Fantastic. And how is tiny house life working out for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. We had a few teething problems to begin with. We had issues with humidity, so we installed a heat recovery fan, and the deck is additional as well. That wasn't there to begin with. So lots of things that we've added that have made it more comfortable as we go. And
part of the beauty of your story and being able to DIY your own home is that you've now got the confidence to make all of those modifications to your home when you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you make it yourself with no prior experience, inevitably you don't spec it out perfectly, and so there have been a few things with water that we've had to work through, but yeah, it's been really satisfying. You know exactly how everything works, where it is. So for that fan, for example, we made a big hole in the wall, which is quite a scary prospect, but knew what was behind it, which spot to do, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been good fun to kind of work out how it works as we go through it.
And is tiny house life living up to your expectations?
Yeah, it's been really good actually. I mean, inevitably sometimes you feel like you just need a little bit more space, but in general it's fine for us. And I don't work in here, I work in other studios, so we're not on top of each other too much, sort of day to day, come in for meals, and it provides everything we need. The main reason for wanting to live in a tiny house, it was stemmed from the fact that I wanted to do my artwork full time, and when we were paying rent in London, I was having to do part-time work to support it. And then we sort of started thinking about other ways of living and how we could pay less rent. So we came across tiny houses. So moving here and living in the tiny house meant that I could do my work full time.
I really enjoyed the design process because I think it really forces you to think about how you want to live, and you've got a completely blank slate with a tiny house. So it was really exciting to have that and to ask those questions, to try and answer them, and then to see it through into the reality and then live in it.
Can we talk about the cost that was involved in building this home?
Yeah, so we did all of the labour ourselves. So the cost was only materials, and it came to 17,000 in total, which, when we kind of done some rough calculations before, was about what we expected. So we're quite keen to keep it below what was our rent we paid in the last year we were living in London, which was pretty much that. So pretty satisfying in the end.
That's fantastic. So for the equivalent of a year's rent in London, you built your own home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I love that. And as you say though, so much of being able to do that is testament to all of the hard work that you poured into this home.
Yeah, it was a lot of time, a lot of energy, but I think when you're making it for yourself in particular, and we were really excited about the prospect of living in something we'd built, it really motivates you. So we really enjoy the process. And I think one of the things I've enjoyed most about tiny house living is because it is a self-build, kind of having designed every centimetre of the house and looking around and thinking it works well, but also just stepping back and being quite proud of it, being able to say we built this.
As you should be. This is a tremendous accomplishment. And so now the tiny house is beautifully finished and you're well settled in. What does the future hold for you now?
I think for another few years we're just going to stay here. We're very happy and comfortable here. I mean, we really enjoy building things together, and I think now that we've finished the house and we're sort of craving building something again, we're thinking of making a canoe this winter.
Cool, what a great project.
Yeah, it should be a really nice one.
So we're quite close to the river and it'd be a really fun thing to make and to enjoy.
What a great idea. And I love that building this home has also sort of sparked a love for building and new projects together, because what a nice thing to be able to do as a couple as well.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think we'll forever be finding projects to make and working on things.
More projects than we can do, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, it's really exciting.
I love that. Well, this really is the most beautiful home that you've built for yourselves. I love all of the style and function that you've built into this space, but most of all, I love the way that you've now acquired these wonderful building skills that you can carry into future projects as well. Thank you so much for sharing your home
Thanks.
with me.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Bryce.
Great to be here. Lizzie and Patrick really have created the most beautiful home for themselves here. This is such a wonderfully warm and welcoming home, and so beautifully nestled into this natural setting. The fact that they were able to build this home, though, for the equivalent of 1 year's rent in London, to me is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's really testament to the incredible amount of hard work that they've poured into making this build happen. I really am so impressed with what they've accomplished here.